All right, shalom, shalom. First things first, I want to give our honor and praise unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rachak, we say, Barakati Yahweh, Barakati Yahushai, Barakati Yahweh, Barakati Yahushai, Barakati Yahweh, Barakati Yahushai, Bahashem, Rachak, and we give double honors to our apostles and our elders, which are the apostle elders, a great millstone, which feed us with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding through the spirit and power of Yahweh Yahushai, 2025, which is the hopeful year of our deliverance and the judgment and the destruction of Esau. 2025 is shaping out to be a hell of a year. Each year has been progressively moving towards prophecy. This is a beautiful video right here, man. This is a sheep that was lost for 5 years. I just got done watching it a little bit ago, and it was just a very heavy. It came on my feed. You know how the spirit does. I look for videos to go into, see if the Rakha will hit me to go into the subject. But this right here is a very heavy. It's a very heavy video. And I take it as a sign, really. I take it as, nothing happens for coincidences. And this is more further proof that Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, which are spread out through the four corners of the planet Earth, are getting ready to be delivered. All right. Deliverance is on the way to the elect first, and then it's going to transfer onto the rest of the nation of Israel, which are you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, which are spread out through the four corners of the planet Earth in confusion of face, which means those that may not look like your typical Israelite, okay? That may look like these nations where they've been scattered by the way of displacements, okay? This is a spiritual thing, not a carnal thing. Okay, so this story is about the sheep. You see the sheep on here, and you show you that dreadlocks because the sheep's hair is locked up. So let's go back to the beginning of the story. And he was lost for 5 years in the wood, which is spiritual in itself. That's spiritual alone. And then on top of that, the sheep's name is Barak. That's when I knew I had to do a video. When I seen the name of the sheep, I said, damn, the Lord pretty much was like, you got to do it, because the sheep's name is blessed, okay, or blessed. And then let's go ahead and prove that real quick. All right, so I looked up Paleo Hebrew word for bless, and it's Barak, okay? That's why we say Barakateh Yahweh, Barakateh Yahushai, bless Yahweh and his son Yahushai, all right, also known as Baruch, okay? But Barak, okay, and the sheep's name, if you think I'm playing, look right here. And I was watching the video, and the lady said the sheep's name, and I said, oh, shit. And then I looked down here on the description, and it says right there, Barak, which means bless. So this right here is this is a symbolic thing right here, what the Lord is doing by speaking through the sheep that was lost for 5 years, and 5 represents power, okay? If you look in Numbers, the number 5 represents power, okay? So this is a heavy video all around. So let's go and play it from the top. This is fair use. This is for educational purposes only. This is not for monetary gain at all. So let's go into this video. Hold on, let's go up here. All right.
Lost in the forest at least 5 years.
At least 5 years, right?
I think he was a bit shell-shocked when he
Let's go back up.
forgotten somehow, lost in the forest at least 5 years. I think he was a bit shell-shocked when he arrived. He couldn't really see because the wool had grown over his eyes. It must have been so incredibly painful. The local chap saw this mammoth moving amongst the trees and had to look twice. And it turned to be the sheep, so it just...
What should come to your mind? Okay, going back to the Garden of Eden, where it says that they hid themselves among the trees. I just seen that, funny too. But just watch, he's saved, and then watch what happens.
He said yes.
Everything is spiritual, man.
I can't imagine how he survived, but he did. Another sheep was with him, letting him know everything's okay.
This is a good place to be, old mate.
He had over 35 kilos worth of wool on him.
And 70.
That sounds how long.
77
the poor fellow
is
had been out there.
completion. He was lost for 5
He had to get the
years.
police.
And the amount of when the Lord found him, or when the Lord allowed him to be found, he had 77 kilos, which 7 represents completion. 5 represents power, and the sheep's name is Barak. And it's a sheep. And what should come to your mind reminds me of the time of Abraham, Abraham, when the ram was caught in the thicket when he was getting ready to sacrifice Isaac. So the Lord had that ram already there waiting for the sacrifice, okay? Because the Lord tried Abraham to see if he would be able to be faithful by giving his son Isaac. So the Lord can control animals. So this is not a coincidence. It's far from a coincidence. Where say one may be something, 2 may be another, but 3 from it being lost for 5. 1, it's a sheep. 2, it's been laden with a burden. Okay, and the fleece is the burden. Okay, so let's go back here.
There you go, mate.
He had over 35 kilos worth of wool on him. That sounds how long. The poor fellow had been out there. We had to get the fleece off, but we knew that was a huge risk to his health and safety, but leaving it on was a greater risk. It actually took nearly an hour to get it up because we had to go into hand scissors until it was matted, and he had bits of sticks and twigs, all sorts.
And this fleece represents our slavery, the grime, the dirt, and I'm gonna prove that here shortly with these precepts. But the fleece represents the hardship, the muck that we've been through. Our hair's been grown out, matted. You know, it represents the hell that the Lord put on us, because this fleece is likened unto a burden. Okay, remember that.
Scissors until it was matted, and he had bits of sticks and twigs, all sorts of things in his wool.
Representation of these other philosophies, these other bullshit that we were wrapped up in. Okay.
I really believe he knew we were helping him. He stood there and let us do it, which was just amazing because he was obviously scared, but he also felt confident in the things that we were doing for him.
But the Lord said he's going to comfort us in those days.
When we got the fleece off him, we finally relieved him of his burden.
See that? What'd she say? We finally relieved him of his
Fleece
burden.
off him, we finally relieved him of his burden. As he walked down the alleyway, he started to get stronger in his legs.
See? Now let's jump into these precepts. Now we got the name of the sheep's name is Barak. Let's read that here. It says, when rescued, it says,
We
when
had
rescued,
Chloe and Molly down on the other side so they could see each other through the stalls.
He had been surviving for years without human care.
That's the best song.
His body weight over 35 kilograms.
You just stand there and curiously looks at us. He is so intelligent.
Could hardly see, and his skin.
He's got a pretty good life now. He's certainly got more confidence.
Wounded and full of infections. Okay.
Barak has evolved every single day into the wonderful being that he is.
Beings domesticated, mess it on that. But so let's go ahead and back the precepts up with all these, with the things that went on in this video. How spiritual it is that the sheep was found, because we are also called the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And Yahushua said it the best. This is Matthew 15 and verse 24. It says, he answered, I am sent only to the lost sheep of Israel. To the lost sheep of Israel. NLT, then Yahushua said to the woman, I was sent only to help God's lost sheep, the people of Israel. And it also says that the Lord will leave the 99 to go and get the one. So it's all spiritual. Every aspect you turn, because I believe this is a sign from Yahbashim Yahushua that the burden is about to be taken off of the elect, taken off of Israel by way of these prophecies being fulfilled, the deliverance of the elect. Jacob's trouble's coming, but the Lord said in those days we're going to be merry. Some of us will catch that hell. Some of us will go through, the straits, but it's all in the good. We're done. We're the last. This is the last hurrah. We're going through the last dregs of us being ever in slavery and captivity. Okay? And it says, then Yahushua said to the woman, I was sent only to help God's lost sheep, the people of Israel. Okay? Amplified version, it says, he answered, I was commissioned by Yahweh and sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So that cuts the Lord came for everybody. He said it himself out of his own mouth. He didn't come for everybody. He came for the lost sheep of the house. House means bayath, okay, which is a family, a genealogy, a nation. Those are the people that he was sent. So Yahushua himself is saying, I wasn't sent for everybody. I was sent for the lost sheep of Israel, the Israelites. Those are who I'm here to go on that cross for. Those are who I'm here to redeem, buy back, make amends between them and the Heavenly Father by way of that sacrifice. So what are these guys talking about? It's not so, but it's a motivational type of video I seen. I was just watching it and I couldn't, everything started adding up. But the main point here, let's get this precept. This is the book of Psalms, because the burden, you remember she said it herself. She said burden. She didn't say weighted, matted, fleece. She could have kept those words, but the Spirit had her say burden, okay? This is Psalms 81 and verse 6. It says, let's start at 5. Let's start at 1. Sing praise to Yahweh, our strength. Sing to the power of Jacob. Sing, beat the tambourines, play the sweet lyre and the harp, which are instruments. Blow the ram's horn in the new moon, okay? And again again at full moon to call a festival. For this is required by the decrees of Israel. It is a regulation of Yahweh, of Jacob, the power of Jacob. He made it a law for Israel when he attacked Egypt to set us free. I heard an unknown voice say, now I will take the load from your shoulders. That sheep had a burden on its body and it was taken off. It was shaved off. Okay? And I said that burden represents the slavery, the displacements, the hell that we've caught, the going had sticks and different foliage in it. It was locked up like a big ass dreadlock. Okay? It wasn't able to be combed through. So that represents all of our hell and all the bullshit that we've been wrapped into. So the Lord's saying that and the slavery. So he's saying that I will take the load from your shoulders. I will free your hands from their heavy task. You cried to me in trouble, and I saved you. Jacob's trouble is getting ready to happen. I answered out of the thunder cloud and tested your faith when there was no water in Meribah. Okay? So the main point is that the Lord is getting ready to remove the burden from our shoulders, starting with the elect. Okay? So let's get some of these precepts. This is Exodus 1 and 11 to 14. So the Egyptians appointed taskmasters over the Israelites to oppress them with forced labor. Slavery, just like we went through slavery in America today. As a result, they built Pithom and Ramesses as stored cities of Pharaoh. But the more they oppressed, the more they multiplied, they flourished. So the Egyptians came to dread the Israelites. They worked the Israelites ruthlessly, just like they do now. They don't care about Jake, man. Jake has been catching hell so long that it's normal for us to catch hell. Just average Edomites just grow up to think Jake ain't shit. It don't matter if these snow bunnies want us. They still have that underlying hatred and underlying mindset of these people are supposed to be below us. They're wanting Jake because it's an attractive thing and, it's power. We're very powerful men, okay, when it comes to the Israelite man. This is Exodus 2 and 23 to 25. After a long time, the king of Egypt died, and the Israelites groaned and cried out under their burden of slavery, and their cry for deliverance from bondage ascended to Yahweh. So Yahweh heard their groanings, and he remembered his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. and saw the Israelites and took notice. So Yahweh is taking notice now, because we are in the modern day Egypt, and which is called America. That's why you have the Egyptian pyramid on the back of the US dollar. This is Egypt all over again. Egypt, Sodom and Gomorrah, all those nations, the spirit reincarnates. Just like now you have Nero back again. This is Rome all over again. This is Egypt again. This is Sodom again. All these nations are coming back as America, okay, as a reincarnated version of those places. This is Isaiah 9 and verse 4. It says, for as in the day of Midian, you have shattered the yoke of their burden. And it says the bar across their shoulders and the rod of their oppressors. And that's what Esau is doing right now. Babylon's being taken and put out of power. That way the Lord can come back and completely take it out of power and deliver the elect when the thermonuclear destruction comes. And that's around the corner. We're waiting for the MOTB, this financial reset, which they're going to need chaos and crisis to cause people to beg for. They're going to be begging for the MOTB. They're not going to be reluctant. Because they're going to make the world so chaotic that you're going to only have to turn to them. It's ordo ad chaos. Jeremiah 30 and verse 8. On that day declares the Lord of hosts, I will break the yoke off their necks and tear off their bounds, and no longer will strangers enslave them. See? That's what you see happening now. We're still in slavery. All right. It's just a different version now. That digital ore, that's going to be a digital slave. That's going to be a digital shackle. You're going to be shackled to this society by way of that number and that mark of the beast, that MOTB, that Mark Wahlberg. OK, so you're going to put yourself into bondage and saying that you want Esau to be your permanent master. You don't want Yahbashim Yahushua. You don't want to bet on him. So that's what the time we coming to. You have to make that choice, man. That's why guys are not pushing the right doctrine, because they didn't grab the oil in the time of Yahushua. That's why it says the foolish virgins did not grab oil, did not take oil. They had the lamp. The lamp represents the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that came to the Israelites. Just like the high priest, the Sadducees and Pharisees, they had the lamp. They were in the Lord said they sit in the seat of Moses. So they had the lamp, but guess what? They didn't have the oil to go in that lamp. And when Yahushua came down, he was that oil that was sent from the Heavenly Father to grab. If you grab it now, that means you're going to come back into reincarnation and you're going to have that same oil, which is the belief in Yahushua, which is going to lead to salvation. It says there's no name under heaven whereby men must be saved. So if you don't have that oil to relight and to reinvigorate your lamp, it's going to go out. It's going to be darkened. And what's the darkness similar to is the lack of knowledge, lack of seeing. Okay, so the elect have the light in the lanterns to be able to what? To see in the darkness. That's why it says growth darkness to people. All right, darkness is on the earth right now, and this truth has brought light to that darkness. That way it's not able to flourish amongst the elect. That's why it says if it be possible, they shall deceive the very elect. How are they not going to deceive the elect? Because they have the oil. They have the eye salve. Going back to the Apostle Elder Gabar always brings it out about the oil that is secreted in the eyes of the owls to be able to see in darkness. So that's what you see taking place now by way of the Spirit. We're able to see in the darkness. We have spiritual night vision. And we're able to see the luminosity of the prophecies. Ooh, jeez. The luminosity of the prophecies. Jeez. Hey. So with that, I'm going to leave it there. Call halal Yahbashim Yahushua, Bashim Rachak, Lord willing, it's an edifying lesson. It's a beautiful lesson. The sheep named Barak, the burden was taken off of his shoulders. So a lost sheep, 77 kilos, 5 years. So that's number after number, sign after sign. So this is a very heavy video. Lord willing, you brothers enjoyed it. And, the link is there. Or not the link, but the title of the video if you want to watch it yourself. So with that, I say call halal Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Rachak Wadash. Until the next time, I say shalom. And more not, I never keep faith. Shalom.